So this is a story from when I was in senior high school. And just a note, no alcohol or drugs were involved. Here is the backstory as to why we were there and what was going on. So there's this road surrounded by forest nearby where I grew up. It had legends of being haunted due to it being a place where many witches used to live and many scary stories from people who went there. Naturally, me and my friends, 5 of us, wanted to go see if this was true. So one night, we all pile in the car around midnight and pull up the maps on how to get there. Our plan is to drive down past it, turn around, and park in the haunted area. It's not illegal to park there, so we wanted to make sure we could just leave if we have to. My friend who was driving decided instead to park sideways on the road so the lights were shining into the forest. He turned on the high beams and then almost right away, the lights went out without anyone moving and the car shut off. We were starting to think that maybe it wasn't just tall tales. So he turned the car back on again, but the lights were very, very dim still. And he turned the car so it was straight on the side of the road. I was sitting in the back by the window, and I for sure saw the scariest thing that I have ever seen. It was like a woman who was like a zombie, almost, but she was floating around and not walking, kind of like how the Death Eaters move around in Harry Potter. So naturally I screamed, and I said, "Drive! Drive!" and explained to them as we got to the intersection what I saw. Against my judgment for sure, we turned around and went back in because I was the only one who saw it. Quite a few other things happened and made everyone sure that I wasn't making stuff up. Now, I can wrap my head around the things we saw up until this point, but this is when I no longer can. Then all of us saw headlights speeding at us from the way that we came in. A massive white truck passed us, going quite fast, and then it evaporated. All of us saw it. It was just gone. It wasn't that it just went out of sight because the road is straight and flat. Now, everyone is ready to leave, so we pull the maps back up and start heading home. We drive for 1 or 2 minutes, and Google Maps says recalculating and says to turn around. Thinking we missed a turn, we did, but it brought us right back to the road that we had left. It did this 3 more times, and we gave up trying to use it, and we just kept driving away from it until someone recognized how to get home. I'm not sure if the truck was a ghost or a glitch, but the maps thing had to have been something calling us back. This is my first time posting something like this, but this seriously freaked me out and I wanted to post it somewhere. My boyfriend and I have a tradition where we'll meet at Sheetz and get curly fries and milkshakes together, and then we'll sit in the car and listen to music. His workplace is only about a minute's drive from the Sheetz we go to, so we meet there after his shifts typically. We decided to meet up last night like usual. It was just after 8 p.m. when I pulled into the parking lot. I saw his car and parked in the spot right next to him, fully expecting to look at him through the window and see him laughing at my bad parking. I turned and looked at him through the window, and we locked eyes for a moment until I watched him back out of his spot and drive to the exit of the parking lot. I watched him stop at the stop sign and then drive away on the route that he always takes to go home. I sat there, extremely confused. I checked my phone for a text in case maybe something had come up and he needed to go home, but I had no messages from him. I started to panic a little, wondering if I had done something wrong and he was upset with me. But even then, he's not the type to just leave like that. I sat in my car for a few minutes before I decided to text him. All I sent was, Before he replied, "I'm here." I was even more confused. I know I had seen him leave. I saw him in his car, wearing the purple shirt and hat that he'd been wearing all day. And I saw his license plate. It's a 4-letter word, so it's easy to memorize. I know I could have seen him. I watched him leave the area and start going home, so there was no way he could have pulled back into the parking lot without me seeing. He told me to meet him inside, and sure enough, there he was at the door, heading into the building. I was pretty startled, and I still am, because I know for the fact that I watched him look at me through the window and then leave. I told him what happened, and we both just laughed it off, but I can't help but keep feeling weird about it. I can't imagine how someone else could look exactly like my boyfriend and have the same car and license plate. I don't know what happened, and I'm a bit worried that I hallucinated it or something. But yeah, that was my glitch. Backstory. I was alone at home, and I decided to take a shower. I forgot to take my towel with me, and decided that it doesn't matter since I'm alone at home anyway. I finish off with my shower and head to my bedroom, which is maybe 13 steps away from the washroom. As soon as I step out of the washroom, the electricity in the house goes out. But it's midday, so the sunlight through the windows is more than enough for me. As I step into my room, I hear my parents enter the house and I'm like, yikes! So I quickly lock my room because I'm changing. Now, my room is adjacent to the sunlight, so there's no direct light in my room, and it's pretty dark, but there's a glow through the window blinds. Now, here's where it gets weird. I wipe my hair and face off with a towel facing the window, and I can see the strips of light from the blinds. Then I do a whole 180 degrees to face my wardrobe, which should be dark, but I'm still seeing the light from the blinds. I'm mad confused. I put my hands out and touch the handles of the cupboard, but my eyes are still seeing the windows. At this point, I'm like, what the hell is going on? So I focus on my hands, and it focuses like a video game lags, readjust, pixel by pixel. But I mean Minecraft block size, if that makes sense. And I feel this ease in my eyes, and I'm just mad confused, but I go on and put my pants on first, then my shirt, and it happens again. My eyes are stuck on the view of the inside of the t-shirt, like when your head is in the shirt and it's dark, but you can see through the cloth. I touch my face to make sure that there's no cloth over my eyes. There's nothing. I feel like I'm cross-eyed. I'm fucking freaked out at this point, and I stumble all across my room, still just seeing the inside of my shirt. I hear the AC switch on, so I know the lights are back, and I find my switch, flick it, but I can't see anything apart from the shirt thing. I unlock my room and call for my mom, blinking like a madman, and the second she appears in my hallway, my vision slides and it's okay again, and I can see everything perfectly, and my eyes feel normal again. I don't know what the hell that was. And I don't know if this could be a symptom of some vision-related medical issue. Should I go to the doctor about this? I literally felt like a video game being played with shitty Wi-Fi. In the summer of 2019, I didn't have a car, and my spouse and best friend and I were always looking for fun places to take the bus. There was a popular beach that was about an hour away bus ride, so we started going there at least once or sometimes twice a week. The first glitch we noticed was pretty weird. The city we lived in at that time had some pretty notable graffiti. I mean, massive words spray painted on specific buildings, and one building in particular that had been customized with about 30 cartoonish looking male members, if you catch my drift. The very first time we got back from this beach, we noticed that the graffiti was different. Now, we left around 10 or 11 a.m. usually and got back around 7 or 8. There was always cops around and the buildings were pretty out in the open. Not to mention, some of the graffiti were really high up. So, we were confused as to how it had been done in that timeline and under those circumstances. But we didn't really think much of it at that time. Until it started happening literally every single time that we came back from this beach. Sometimes it was smaller differences. Other times it was major ones, like a massive art piece being covered up by something completely different. This never happened any other time and was actually pretty cool, if not also freaky. The next two are probably going to make me sound crazy, but this is just my experience and I've tried wrapping my hand around it and I just can't. My friend used to sleep at our place when we got back and then take the train home the next day. We got back one night and my spouse went to sleep while my friend and I stayed up talking. My cat, who was about 3 years old at that time, walked into the room and she was a kitten again. She had literally shrunk size and looked completely different. We were so shocked and confused, but it felt so unreal. We pulled up photos of her from that week and compared them to her kitten photos, and we just couldn't figure it out. The next day, she went back to normal. Now, I wasn't sure where to mention this part, but we often walked around the entire town where the beach was while there for the day. And there was a bridge cut into this cliff that we walked through every time. And something about the bridge just didn't feel normal. I usually would feel very euphoric going through it and have this sense that everything was going to be okay. It felt very intense and spiritual almost. We all experienced this, but thought maybe it was influenced by how beautiful it was or something. One time while walking through it, we decided to stop and my friend and I were talking about the previous December when we had both been really depressed and how we were so glad to be in better places now. At that time, my hair was a few inches shorter and I weighed like 15 pounds more than I did that summer. But it felt almost like we were back in that time as we spoke about it, like I could physically feel everything I felt back then, in a way that it was more real than remembering it. When I got home that night, I looked into the mirror, and my hair looked significantly shorter, and my eyes looked sunken and depressed. I was in shorts and I could tell I looked chubbier, and it felt like an out-of-body experience, like I was looking at myself from that December. I immediately went to weigh myself, and I kid you not, I weighed 15 pounds more than I had the day prior. I know, because I had been weighing myself every few days as part of a weight loss program I was doing. I was so freaked out that I took a photo of myself to compare to that time, and I sent it in our group chat. The weirdest part is that the glitches never happened while at that beach, and they only happened once we got home, but only after being at that beach. I went to bed that night feeling really out of body and woke up looking like myself again, but still entirely freaked out. This isn't really the kind of thing that I could ever explain to anyone without sounding completely insane. There were other things that happened too, if anyone is interested in hearing about those, but these are the most notable. I fully believed that we encountered some kind of weird portal or energetic time lapse or something, and it's forever altered the way I think about what life really is. Yo guys, first of all, I'm no native speaker, so sorry if anything is worded weird. Also, sorry for my storytelling skills. I'll try my best to tell this story as understandable as possible. So, a little background information. I work in customer support for a leading medical company in my country. We sell COVID-19 tests to companies and private individuals. For every order, there's a unique order number, and when you search this order number up in our system, everything related, including the address and phone number of the customer, pops up. We have an external call center that will send us an email when someone calls in for anything. They will give us the full name and order number from the caller so we can get back to them. So we get an email that a woman, let's call her Miss Glitch, called to ask where our delivery was. The name was pretty exotic, so a misunderstanding is pretty unlikely. I go on to copy the unique order number from the email and search it up in our system, and the order of Miss Glitch pops up with her address and phone number. Remember, there is no other order with this exact same number. So I proceed to type her number into my phone to give her a call. A man answers with, "Yes, Mr. Glitch here." I ask Mr. Glitch if I can speak to Miss Glitch because she was the one calling us in the first place. He gets Miss Glitch on the phone and I go, "Hello, Miss Glitch. I'm calling regarding your question about your order." And she goes like, "Sorry? But we never ordered anything from you. From which company are you again?" And I was like, "From company XY. You ordered some tests for us a few days ago and called us to check where the delivery is." And she goes, "No, sorry. I never called and we didn't order tests from you." I ask, "So you are not Miss Glitch living in Weird Town?" And she says, "Yeah, I am Miss Glitch, but I'm not living in Weird Town." I explain myself and hang up a bit confused. I thought maybe there was an error in our system and it gave me a wrong Miss Glitch. So I type the order number in again and the same customer information pops up. So maybe I had a typo in the phone number and randomly called a woman that has coincidentally the same name as the one I was trying to call. So I backchecked the phone number, and the one I called was a completely different number from the one on my screen that I had typed in. Now, I'm confused as fuck. I search up the name Miss Glitch in our system, and there was no other order that went with the name of Miss Glitch. I thought maybe I got something mixed up on my screens and called another customer that has the similar name to Miss Glitch, and both me and the customer just misheard the name. So I go on to search the phone number, then I typed it into my phone, and we have no customer or order with the phone number that I just called. Confused as fuck, but still trying to do my job, I call the number of Miss Glitch on the screen, and again, a man picks up with the same words, "Yes, Mr. Glitch here." I go, "Can I speak to Miss Glitch, please?" And he goes, "Yeah, sure." So I'm once again talking to Miss Glitch, and now she's apparently the right one. I answer her questions and we hang up. I couldn't make any sense of what I just witnessed. So I searched everything in our system that is related to the phone number that I called or to the name of Miss Glitch, but I find absolutely nothing. So apparently, I called a completely wrong number that fuck knows how has gotten into my mind, that has no appearance in any of our system, got connected to someone with the exact same name, and then, just as for the right call, a man picks up with the same exact words. Am I going crazy? Or what the fuck did happen today? So I'm a snorer, and it drives my wife crazy because she's a light sleeper. She will often move to the guest bedroom in the middle of the night. I also have a habit of falling asleep on our couch if we are watching TV late, and she will usually turn off the TV and head to bed before me, just letting me sleep on the couch. And I'll usually wake up around 1 or 2 a.m. and sleepily head to the bed. One night, a few months ago, we were watching TV downstairs and I had grabbed a pillow from our bed. The couch pillows aren't particularly comfortable, and I drifted off and woke up alone in the dark with the TV off a little after 2 a.m. When I got upstairs, I crawled into bed next to my wife, who rolled over as I pulled back the covers on my side. But I realized my pillow was still downstairs on the couch. Instead of going back downstairs, I decided to get one from the guest bedroom. It was dark, but I knew my way around and felt my way to get a pillow. When I yanked it off the bed, I heard a, "Hey!" And there was my wife, with her earplugs in that she often wore because of my snoring. But she was also in our bed seconds earlier. I was in shock and stood there to let my eyes adjust. And sure enough, she was there looking up at me with an annoyed, sleepy face. I dropped the pillow and walked back to our bedroom, and there she was, curled up sleeping. Utterly confused and freaking out a little, I went back to the guest bedroom, and there was nobody there. I wonder now if I were half asleep or something. I have no explanation. And now, whenever I go upstairs late if I fall asleep on the couch, I always have this sense of dread and always check the guest bedroom before going to bed. And it's never happened since. This happened in January of 2015. I was 3 months pregnant with our first son, and my ex-husband woke me extremely excited, manic you could say. "Where were you?" And, "What the fuck?" he yelled. It was no later than 4 a.m., so I was very disoriented and immediately started an argument, which ended with me really not remembering going to bed that night before. Talking more about it, I realized extra 2 days have passed and I had a complete blackout. Last thing I remembered was throwing leftovers from the food we ordered for dinner. It was about 7 p.m. and my ex-husband went to get his car back from the mechanic. He said I okayed him calling Uber from my phone, but I can't recall that. After coming back, I was nowhere to be found. My keys, wallet, and phone were there, but I was gone. He immediately went to the only neighbor we used to hang out with at that time, but I wasn't there neither. He waited for a few more hours and called the police. From what he said, the next 2 days were hell. Hospital kept calling. I'm a nurse. My friends, which I made plans with, called, and no one had any idea where I were. On the 3rd day, I just appeared in our bed in jammies. The door was locked, and my ex-husband didn't even sleep. He was drinking and walking around the house all night. I didn't lose my job, and we had no problems with the authorities. But to this day, I can't figure out what could have happened. I have experienced what I would consider small glitches before in my life. Most could be chalked up to misinterpreting what I see, but others I couldn't explain but are substantial. What happened 3 days ago is no small glitch. I've been mulling it over in my head, trying to rationalize it, and thought here might be a good place to post in search of others with similar experiences. I live with my mom and younger brother in a small apartment on the east coast of Canada. What's important about the layout is we have a wall that stretches the length of the apartment with big windows which give us a view of the harbor. On this particular day, it was sunny out, clear skies, the blinds were open, so the apartment was lit up with natural light. Another thing about the layout is that my room has a floor-to-ceiling window to the living area. It's translucent or frosted, so you can't see specific details, only shadows, but it's enough to light up the room during the daylight hours. It was sometime during 3 in the afternoon when it happened. I was laying in bed on my phone scrolling through Twitter, and my mom was talking on the phone in the living room. I was suddenly overcome with this feeling that something important was about to happen. You know that memory almost everyone has when you're like 3 years old and just starting to become self-aware, and you say to yourself, I'm going to remember this moment forever. And then you do. It was like that feeling. Hard to describe in words, but those who have a memory like this will understand what I mean. So I got that feeling. It lasts for just a few seconds and it's gone. Just as soon as it left, it's dark in my room. There is no more daylight lighting in my room through the window, and I am in the exact same position I was. The phone is still in my hand, open to the same place in the Twitter timeline it was before the feeling, albeit with a 20% battery pop-up displayed. And my first thought is something like, huh? That got cloudy quick. But I look at that time on my phone, and it's apparently now 7:27. I'm confused and a little bit scared, honestly, so I open my door and enter the living space. And it's definitely nighttime now. And the only light is from the apartment's dim outdoor light system and the neighboring city's light pollution from across the harbor. My mom is no longer on the phone, but is in her room taking a nap. My anxiety starts kicking in, and I've had low-level anxiety constantly ever since. My paranoia makes me worry that it's going to happen again. But mostly, I'm freaked out that I missed about 4 hours of my life, and I didn't even realize it. I know what some of your suggestions will be. Obscenic seizure, even though those rarely last more than 15 seconds, or that I fell asleep, or maybe I just zoned out for 4.5 hours straight. But I'm telling you, the difference between 3-ish and 7:27 happened instantly. I didn't even blink, as cliche as that would be. Just boom. Suddenly it's dark out. Apparently, I thought a tweet about my digital paint program's new features was so intriguing, I decided to spend the next 4 hours in awe. I swear, I was even exhaling the same breath when the change happened. My arm was still in the same tense-up, uncomfortable position it was in when I was lying on my stomach holding my phone. It wouldn't have stayed like that for hours. But it felt like no time had passed. Anyways, I'm really stuck on what happened here. I've noticed I felt like time was speeding up recently, and others I've talked to have felt the same, but I'm skeptical on if this is related. Have any of you experienced anything similar, especially recently? Several years ago, I attended a beer tasting event with a few friends. Another friend, Lacey, was going to tag along but opted out at the last minute because she's not a beer drinker. She prefers vodka. This tidbit will come in handy later in the story. An hour or so into the event, not enough drinks into the day to be drunk, I ran into a friend of Lacey's named Julie. The friends I was with greeted Julie as well. They had met her before too, but only in passing. And then they stepped a few feet away to let Julie and me chat for a bit. I stated that I invited Lacey, but Lacey didn't want to come to a beer tasting. Julie replied, "Oh, that girl? All she'll drink is vodka." And we had a good chuckle about it. We talked for another several minutes, mentioning a few other mutuals and colleagues. We work in the same industry, but different companies. Then I excused myself to rejoin my other friends. As we parted, I said, "Well, I'll let Lacey know I saw you and tell her to plan a happy hour for all of us soon." To which Julie said something like, "Awesome, see you then. She'll think it's crazy that we saw each other here." I proceeded to text Lacey that I saw Julie, but I didn't hear back straight away, which is totally normal for Lacey. The next morning, Lacey called and asked if I'm sure that it was Julie I saw. I recounted Julie's in my conversation, specifically telling Lacey about how Julie and I laughed about the idea of Lacey the vodka drinker attending a beer-related event. Lacey then told me that Julie's mom had flown in for a mother-daughter weekend, and Julie and her mom were spending it at a resort 2 hours away from where the event was held. They left the night before the event and were not returning until the following day. To this very moment, I still don't know who I actually ran into that event. Every time that I have seen real Julie since that glitchy day, we laugh about how I must have been in the Twilight Zone the day that I talk to Glitch Julie. So to start off with, me and my girlfriend have had many weird experiences. If you want to hear about those, just let me know. Anyway, back when we were around 16 and 17, I was staying over her mom's apartment. And when you first enter the apartment, the kitchen is on the left, then her mom's room and bathroom is on the right. And if you keep going straight, it's the dining room and the living room, with my girlfriend's room all the way at the back right, and she has a mini bathroom in her room. It's a very small apartment, so it's hard not to bump into each other or miss anyone. Anyways, her sister was watching TV in the living room, and her mom was walking back and forth from her room and the kitchen doing stuff, and I was in my girlfriend's room waiting for her because she told me that she had to use the bathroom. I saw her walk in, and I waited for her for 15 minutes on her bed facing the bathroom door. After a while, I got worried, and I walked up to the door and called out for her. I didn't get a response, so I checked the door handle, and it was unlocked. I opened the door and didn't see her at all in the bathroom. The bathroom was super small and had no windows or anything, so I was super confused. I went to the living room and asked her sister if she saw her come out, and she said no. And I asked her mom the same, and she said no. We all looked all over the apartment and didn't see her at all, and we all got worried. I called her phone, and it kept going straight to voicemail, and it wasn't anywhere in the apartment. She usually takes it with her to the bathroom. Eventually, we saw her walking from a distance outside, and she looked out of it. To this day, we still don't understand what happened. She doesn't even remember what happened exactly, but I still remember it vividly because of how much it freaked me out. I also checked her phone, and it didn't even show that I called her. She legit teleported out of the bathroom into the parking lot. She would have no reason to just walk outside anyways because at that time, we were stuck together like glue. We were in our honeymoon love-struck stage. When I was a teenager, living in Vienna in the small country Austria, I excessively played The Sims. I created all kinds of families there with all kinds of crazy stories. Most of them were unrelated to anyone that I knew, just straight out of my imagination. As the game got developed to The Sims 4, the details got very much on point when it came to creating your Sims. I was always very hesitant to create myself or anyone that I knew because I would feel bad of anyone dying in the game, as they would portray my real-life people. I also didn't want to put anything out there, if you know what I mean, like attract anything bad. With The Sims 4 though, I decided to create myself with a different last name though, matching my Sim's husband's last name. The husband was of color, as my celeb crush was 50 Cent. I was 17 by the way. He was wearing a black tank top, camouflage pants, trainers, and a black watch, and they lived a happy life together, had kids, and I made sure that they died peacefully as I did believe in attracting situation. I met my boyfriend 2 years ago after I moved to London. We are in a very happy relationship. One day, we were at a market and it was really hot, so I bought a dress so I can change into something more light, and my boyfriend bought some pants in thin material. He asked if I liked them, and I turned, and it was some camouflage sweatpants. I said yes, and we proceeded to go home to change. We changed our clothes, and my boyfriend asked me if he looked good. I finished dressing up, and I looked at him to check his clothes. And he was wearing a black tank top, the camouflage sweatpants, trainers, and a black watch that I had just bought him as a present some weeks ago. I immediately realized that he looked like my husband in The Sims that I created years ago. I started laughing and told him, "You look like my Sim." He looked at me confused, and as I told him what I meant, he told me, "Oh, so you attracted me into your life," with a cheeky smile, and I guess he was right. That was my most glitch moment that I have ever had, but I don't regret it at all. Not the most thrilling glitch, but one that I'm still scratching my head about. I was in Oahu with my girlfriend in November of 2020, and we spent one day of our trip visiting the Dole Plantation, Giovanni's Shrimp Truck, followed by shaved ice at Matsumoto Shaved Ice on the North Shore. After buying 2 shrimp platters from Giovanni's, we had opted to drive to Matsumoto Shaved Ice and enjoy the food in the car before buying the shaved ice. We found a spot in the parking lot, which was rare during non-COVID times. We ate it, threw our trash away in the parking lot's garbage, and headed to Matsumoto for some shaved ice. We were staying in Oahu, and upon arriving back at the hotel, my girlfriend noted that she had lost her ring. It was a silver Gucci ring that she's had for over 10 years and wore daily. We turned our hotel room inside out looking for it, and we searched the car multiple times as well. We looked back at our photos and saw that she was wearing it when we bought the shrimp, and we had no other pictures after that with the ring. We concluded that she may have taken the ring off when eating shrimp, placed it in her lap, and it fell out the car. Deciding to search the car throughout one last time, with all of the doors open and high-powered flashlights we used for hiking, there was nothing. It was a long drive up to the North Shore, so we wanted to be sure that it wasn't in the car. We drove an hour back to the North Shore at around 11 p.m. at night and searched the parking lot with flashlights for 30 minutes. We even went into the parking lot's garbage can and found the discarded takeout bag from Giovanni's and even combed through that. But still, nothing. We were defeated, but decided to check the car inside out once more before heading back. Nothing again. After the hour-long drive back, we once again combed the car inside out. Back at the hotel, We checked the room once more and finally decided to give up. The next day, we went to Rainbow Drive-In for lunch and again decided to search the car inside and out. It still bugged me that it mysteriously disappeared. We again opened every single compartment and moved the seats forward and back so we could check underneath. On the last day of our vacation, when returning the car, we packed up all of our things, wet wipes, phone holders, charge cables. Lo and behold, my girlfriend found the ring along with one of my power banks in the glove compartment. How? It wasn't even deep inside the glove compartment, but on a shelf sitting near the front with my power bank, which had apparently also glitched away because we never saw it. Our minds were blown. We had searched the glove compartment multiple times with flashlights, and we keep wet wipes in the glove compartment. So, we had opened and closed it a few times throughout the rest of the trip, like even after eating at Rainbow. Being a rental car, the glove compartment only had the manual inside and nothing else. So, it's very easy to see everything inside with a glance. There was no way we could have both missed the ring in the glove box when we had obsessively searched the entire car 4 times over. Including quicker searches we conducted, we had looked for the ring in the glove box 6 to 10 times. This happened today around 11 a.m., and I've been unable to think of anything else since. A few things that need to be mentioned first. One is that I've had my home under renovations for about 4 months now, and therefore shop at Home Depot. It's a home improvement store in my area, and I do that at least 4 to 5 times a week, and am familiar with most of the employees there, as they are with me. 2 is that I always use self-checkout inside the store and not the garden center or outdoor checkout, which utilizes a human cashier and is not a self-checkout. 3 is that there is a McDonald's located on the route between my house and Home Depot. And here we go. I go to Home Depot today to purchase plumbing supplies. I get what I need and go to the outside garden center to grab a couple bags of potting mix. I decide to check out in the garden center since I'm already out there. The cashier rings me up and I remove my wallet from my purse to get out the credit card that I want to use. I keep my cards in certain slots. I have multiple credit or debit cards, so that way they are easy to find. However, I can't find the particular Discover card I'm looking for. I fumble around for a moment and apologize to the cashier for taking so long. It's important to note that we are having a conversation about plans while this is happening. I finally resort to pulling all my cards out of the slots they are in. I'm in a small panic by now, and eventually find the card. I swipe it and put it back in the wallet with a receipt and make a mental note to reorganize my wallet when I get home, as all the cards are now out of their slots and jumbled together. A mess. I toss the wallet back in my rather large purse and walk out. Purse is in the child's seat in front of the buggy. I walk to my car, and as I'm unloading my bags into the trunk, 4 men who are part of a larger group of workers and are always hanging out in the parking lot of Home Depot and Lowe's looking for work, approach me, asking if I need help. I tell them no quite sternly, as they have become quite pushy in the past, and finish unloading my bags. I close the trunk, get in the car with my purse, and leave. I decide on the way home to stop for a shake at McDonald's. I go through the drive-thru and order. I pull up to the window to pay and go into panic mode, level 10, as my wallet is not in my purse. I use an emergency $20 that I keep in the visor to pay and pull over to the parking lot to get out and check the entire car. Nothing. I speed off back to Home Depot. I first go to the garden center to ask the cashier if she found a wallet. Because we were already familiar and we had a decent conversation when I was there 10 minutes before, she remembers me. She not only tells me that she doesn't have the wallet, but she tells me that she remembers me putting it back in my bag after finding the car that I was looking for. I go to the parking lot thinking maybe I dropped it. I check the empty buggies in the parking lot to see if it fell out of my purse. Nothing. I go inside and ask customer service if anyone turned in a wallet. Still, nothing. I go back to my car and spend 15 minutes calling banks and creditors, canceling all my cards, and I drive home angry and confused. How the hell did my wallet disappear in between me putting it back in my purse after checking out and me getting in my car? I drive home, and at this point, I'm considering that I either dropped it in the parking lot or in the buggy, or that one of the 4 men who approached me grabbed it while the others distracted me. Neither of these seem likely as I had my purse closed. A wallet can't fall out of a zip purse, and it would have been very difficult to sneak up behind me and unzip my purse and grab the wallet and zip the purse closed that quickly and quietly without me taking notice. Those are, however, the only 2 possibilities I can come up with. I get out of the car and grab my bags from the trunk and walk in the house. My wallet is sitting on the kitchen table. What the hell? I must have turned pale as ghost, and I could feel the color drain from my face. How in the absolute hell did my wallet get into my house on the kitchen table? I thought maybe I never had my wallet with me, but I remember digging in it at the cashier station. If I hadn't had it with me, I wouldn't be able to pay as I would have had my cards with me. And the cashier remembers me fumbling through it, looking for my card, and tossing it back in my bag after finding it. I thought maybe I was mixing my days up, but I had purchased dirt that day, which is why I checked out the garden center, which I never do. I ran every possibility through my mind. I can't explain it. To make everything just that much more inexplicable, when I opened my wallet, the cards were tossed about and not in their respective slots, as I had tossed them about looking for my Discover card when I was checking out, and the damn receipt from Home Depot with the date and stamp from an hour earlier were on it along with everything else that I purchased earlier that day. No, I did not go home and bring just my wallet inside and put it on the table for no reason and then leave again. I think I would remember that. Also, I would have no reason for doing so. I would have carried my entire purse inside me, and if anything, I would have left that behind, which any woman can tell you, we don't leave without our purses. I wouldn't get far without my keys, which are always inside the purse too. I would have had to pass up McDonald's and then go home and bring just my wallet inside for no reason and then leave again and go back to McDonald's, which I wouldn't have done as I went on a spur of the moment for a shake, hardly worth leaving home and going back to McDonald's for. I am completely without explanation. This is by a long shot the most bizarre occurrence I have ever experienced. I am still, even hours later, totally freaked out, and there is no explanation. I have had 2 glitches in my life, and this one happened about 5 years ago at an Arby's. So, my girlfriend at that time wanted dinner, and we settled on Arby's. I had been to this particular location a few times and nothing had ever stuck out to me, so I decided to go in and order my food to go. When I pulled into the parking lot, my truck was the only vehicle in the lot, which I found a little weird and thought maybe they were closed, but tried the door and it was open. So I walked in, and the first thing I noticed was how dingy and old it was inside. Mind you, I have been in this particular location before, and it was not like this. I walked up to the register and was greeted by a male and female that looked very similar, almost like twins with the biggest ear-to-ear smile that I have ever seen in my life, and it looked fake. At this point, I'm starting to wonder what the fuck is going on, but I order my food and both the male and female was so overly friendly and smiling. It was uncomfortable. I get my food and return to my girlfriend's house, and I'm telling her about this weird encounter. The next morning, I leave her house to go to work at 5:30, and I have to drive by the Arby's. The entire parking lot is ripped to shreds with the fence around the restraint with a sign saying, "Being remodeled and drive-through open." Fast forward to the end of the day and was going back to her house and had to pass said Arby's again. So at this point, it's killing me because I know they couldn't have done all this work that had been done in less than 20 hours. So I pull into the drive-thru and order a large drink. When I get to the window, I ask the girl how long ago they started the renovations, and she told me 2 weeks ago. My mind is fucking blown. I had just walked into the same place the night prior and got food too, and to this day, I can't explain what happened, and I will never go into another Arby's again. Hello everyone, it's your creepy sister here. Thank you so much for watching the video. I really appreciate each and every one of you. I would also like to thank my following patrons: Fire05, Gabriel, Maskino, Ralph, Lori, and Jake. Thank you very, very much. I really appreciate it. If you want to support the channel further, you can be a patron too. But remember, it's appreciated, but never a requirement. I would also like to announce that we have merch now. The link is in the description of the video, along with all my other social media links, like my Discord server, Twitter, Instagram, and others. You can connect with me and send your stories there. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't yet, and comments are highly appreciated. And remember, your fear feeds me.